Thank you, everybody, for being with us today, too. We're going to continue uh, with the Ashtabhakra Gita. It's chapter 14, titled Tranquility. And we'll read through the verses and uh, gather whatever comments we can from Baba. Okay, Baba, if it's okay, I'll read the verse and then we can comment on it.
Yeah.
Okay. So Janaka speaks. Janaka was the disciple of Ashtabhakra who obtained self-realization. So verse 1, chapter 14, the mind being fully settled in the self, that one no longer holds the effects of past actions in the mind, is no longer involved with or attracted to objects of the illusory universe. Thoughts arise for the sake of worldly activity, but don't bind the mind. The one is awake even though they might appear asleep. So, Baba, first thing, the mind being fully settled in the self. Would you explain to us what you mean by mind? I mean, normally I think we think of mind.
Yeah. I have tried to explain in a little different ways, like maintaining a sattvic ego. And once you are able to do tapas and achieve total silence, and the merger of the mind into the self happens. Mind gets absorbed into the self. Well, I have told this doesn't mean that you have lost the mind. The mind is there, its power is always available. You realize the mind is nothing but you, yourself actually. You were thinking, and now you have stopped thinking. So all that time, mind is totally silent. Like I tell, even if I'm gossiping or anybody else trying to talk to me, my mind does not picturize or doesn't imagine and doesn't go into anything. However, if I need to teach, if I need to deal with some situation, so I may use my mind, that which we call it a sattvic ego, that within a periphery, that attachment to the Guru, his mission, so like this type of thing. So then I use the nearest imagination, but I will not allow that mind to get carried away, further binding itself into the incidents of the world or into its own imaginations. So that's what precisely this book also endorses, what I have been speaking many times in my talks like this. Once you have achieved, the first thing what Ashtavakra talks is of the enlightened soul. For an enlightened soul, the mind is totally settled into the self. It does not imagine anything and it does not get binded into this world. So no binding, because there is no I, no imagination, nothing is there. It is totally liberated one. However, but if I need to talk or deal with a situation or need to teach, I have told that I have to use the nearest imagination. At that time, I might use some imagination effects of the mind so that I can deal. But most of the time, while answering a question, spontaneously it comes out of me, even without thinking also. This is what I have observed. I don't have to think or plan or frame anything, and it simply comes out, such an answer. So this is what has been tried to explain in these verses.
So, Baba, does normally we think of the mind, as all our imaginations and ideas and thoughts, memories. It can be creative, but as you look into it, you realize you can have thoughts, but you're not the thoughts. You're the one watching the thoughts. But so for a self-realized person, are thoughts coming? If you're just sitting there watching us meditate, are there thoughts arising in the mind, but you're just not involved in them? Or are there no thoughts arising?
No, always not arising. Thoughts doesn't arise like that. Suppose you are all sitting into meditation, I just watch, and nothing arises, nothing strikes in my mind, nothing registers, in other words, to be more precise, nothing comes to the mind actually. But occasionally, if I need to use any imagination on my own, like when you ask a question, even at that time, I don't have to use any imagination at all. Spontaneously, the answer comes. But if I myself have to talk or deal with any such situation, then a little bit imagination might come up. I might use it, but I will restrain myself. It will go back. Once the job is done, it won't get carried away further into the world. Whereas for an ordinary person, the mind gets carried away and it gets involved into further imaginations, thought after thought, thought after thought keep coming, imagination after imagination keep coming, making a person experience happiness, unhappiness, tension, fear, brooding about the past, anxious about the future. All these things happen to a person, but not for the enlightened soul.
So it's kind of as needed, if as necessary to deal with the world. Thoughts can arise from consciousness and then spontaneously settle
Yes,
back down.
means that consciousness, creative power is there. Anytime we can tap that energy and become creative or imagine and talk or deal with the situation.
So, Bob, it seems that it's the nature of the mind to think or to have thoughts. But you've also said that the nature of the mind is to be silent, to be just pure consciousness.
Uh, Now, in my opinion, original nature of the mind is to remain silent in the self. That is what the divinity we have recognized as, which is all pervaded. Its nature is to remain in total stillness, which is known as Mahasamadhi. It can imagine, it has the power, creative power. Just imagining itself is known as the sattvic quality of the consciousness, as Adi Shankara puts it. But if it further becomes stubbornly believed as whatever it imagines as the only truth, then that is bit wrong. It goes into a king-like arrogance. Because I am thinking like this and this is the truth. So that's what the Rajasic nature of the mind, it says, it goes into. But original nature is to remain silent, at peace, totally contented.
Then what makes creation start, Baba? What makes thought arise?
If the consciousness starts imagining, within the consciousness, a creation happens. Like your mind start imagining, and within your mind, a creation happens. And that's what would be sitting in a person's mind as a separate world.
So that also seems like a second nature of consciousness.
It is available. Nature, we usually would like to call, in its nature, it is there and it naturally behaves like that one. But here, I would like to tell this actual in nature, it would like to keep quiet in its original nature. But if the energy wants to use it, then that is not the actual nature of it. It has to go back to remain in its nature. Hope I'm clear what I'm trying to convey.
Yeah, Baba.
Its original nature is to remain quiet in itself. So it has the ability to creative. That also quickly it goes back to the self, as the original nature of it is to keep quiet. Means, like for example, if I think and imagine and try to say something, so immediately after I have said, that will go back to itself and settles there. That is the original nature of it. So I brought it upwards to because it has the ability, but it will not remain as a nature like that always. It will go back to itself, and that is the original nature.
You've said, Baba, in the past that once self-realization's happened, nothing will make the mind go back to the world.
Yeah, it will not go back. It will remain in its nature. It will remain quiet. Even if you use it like I'm telling, it will go back and settle, just like the tire settling back like that.
So what is it about the unrealized person that keeps us kind of involved in the Maya, unable to see the truth of our own self, who's watching?
Unrealized person means he is unskilled person. He gets involved into further imagination. He thinks by imagining only he is able to find out, gain the knowledge, that curiosity, inquisitiveness increases, and thus gets involved into further creating thought after thought, like millions and millions of thoughts keep coming.
So, Baba, if a self-realized person, I understand, has no desire, although you seem to have intentions, and I guess maybe there's playing with words maybe, but the difference between an intention and a desire is you want something to happen, but you have no attachment to it. Whereas desires,
Yes.
you want something to happen, but you're kind of attached to the outcome too.
Yeah, we are not attached to the outcome and not attached to what others would react. Whatever I have to do, I just do it and become quiet. So there is no desire to continue, or there is no such thing. Simply I intend to create an awareness about the self-realization as wanted my Guru, or that which we also could achieve, would like to help others to achieve. So that is the intention, that is all.
Baba, there's a term in science called singularity. Have you heard this word before?
No.
It's
Singularity.
singularity. I'm not a scientist, but as I understand it, or as I take it, it's like a field of all possibilities. It's what I associate with the consciousness of existence, where everything that could possibly be exists in a potential form. It hasn't manifested, it hasn't become actualized, but it exists there potentially. And from there, it would be kind of like you have you have pure consciousness, which is just the silent witness, Parabrahman, the absolute. But then you have consciousness of existence, which is more like mind or singularity, or this field where it's awake, it's conscious that it exists, but without any thought or anything actually manifesting yet. And from there, creation starts to emanate. Time, space, matter all emerge from the singularity, from the consciousness of existence. Is that word relate to any terms that you're familiar with? Is it some similarity between consciousness of existence and this idea of singularity, where everything exists in an unmanifest potential form?
So we have to say, like a possibility, in all possibility, the Supreme Consciousness has the ability to create in all possibility. Something like that I have to say. So that is possible. Possibility is there. So we cannot rule out anything. We cannot say it is not possible for that. Though it remains in itself in supreme peace, but there is all possibility that it can create. But whenever it creates, a microspeck comes out of it. When it gets carried away, goes after thought, goes on analyzing and making judgments and judgment, then gets involved into the vicious circle of getting creative, but that creativity is affecting its peace, its stability to remain in itself.
Some attachment arises. I guess as soon as we make any kind of judgment that something is this way rather than that way,
Yeah,
then you
as soon as
become
an
attached.
attachment arises of what you imagine,
Right.
then you bind yourself to that judgment.
And that sustains the Maya, sustains the illusion.
That is what is known as illusion. That is the power of illusion.
Okay, going on here, it says, the mind being fully settled in the self no longer holds the effects of past actions in the mind, no longer involved or attracted to objects of the illusory universe. Thoughts arise for the sake of worldly activity, but they don't bind the mind. That one's awake even though they might appear asleep. So, Baba, for the self-realized person, this what happens to karma? Is there the mind has now become silent and merged with the self, but yet, and then as you were just saying, it can come out to do specific things as a person, but the body's still there. You still have the body. So is there no more karma for the self-realized person because the mind isn't involved? But yet there's karma for the body?
Because the mind is not involving, a yogi would have stopped the future. But whatever the past lives, anything was there, so that will appear in the body as long as the body is alive. That will appear. It can appear as an illness, or somebody trying to trouble the person, somebody trying to crucify a yogi. So these type of things might all occur. These are all prarabdhas. So prarabdhas does happen, but a yogi will remain unattached to them because he has no judgments, he has stopped the future, no more karmas, no more absorption of any imprints will happen.
So mentally he's liberated, but the body still has to go through its sufferings.
Yeah. So whatever, as long as it is there, it has to go through the natures of the things.
Okay. So what is it that makes consciousness become mind?
When it starts imagining, it becomes mind. And when it gets attracted to its own imaginations, considering that imagination as a truth of existence, then it further gets involved and it becomes a bundle of thoughts. That is what is known as mind. Thus, the pure consciousness gets transformed into a mind.
Okay. So read on here from verse 1, chapter 14. So no longer involved or attracted to objects of the illusory universe. I get that the consciousness isn't involved in the activity, but attracted to doesn't necessarily mean that you're not concerned. This is, you can look at it like a state of indifference, but you're anything but indifferent to the world, even though you may not be involved in it.
Yeah, a yogi would appear as if he is indifferent, but he is not actually indifferent. It may appear a bit negative for others, this world of indifference. Simply yogi remains in himself, in the self, so he is unaware of anything. Just like when you are soundly sleeping, you are unaware of what was going on the streets. So you are not at fault. Simply you are asleep. That's why you did not know. Means yogi also He is not negatively indifferent. If anybody prays to him, he becomes compassionate also. He becomes compassionate, tries to help them. But on his own, no imagination occurs to him. So that's why he may not be able to notice anything of this world.
Okay. Verse 2, Baba, desires having now melted away, where are riches, friends, interests in the illusions of the universe? What use are scriptures and knowledge? So, self-realized persons desire free, or not attached to their desires. They can still have intentions, but what keeps them functioning if there's no attachment to anything in the world? What keeps you getting up every day and coming on these calls with us?
See, generally I have spoken as a sattvic ego, an attachment to the Guru's name or what the Guru wanted to convey a message. If the Guru has ordained, you do this mission work, you look after this mission like that, something like that enables the brain to be alive, thus the body also to be alive and getting up. That is what is also recognized as a prarabdha. The prarabdha of this body is there, that it is attached to the Guru's name and the Guru's institution or mission, whatever you want to call. So thus, it mechanically keeps working. It will eat and it will go around, it will try, but its activities will become more minimum, very minimum. Nowadays, you see, as the days are passing, it's becoming more difficult for me to travel. And some people have to push and have to tell, or some strong reason has to be there. Then half-heartedly I go, I do and come. Otherwise, left alone, simply I don't even go down to look into the streets or the gardens many times. Just in my room, just sitting. So this thing, what happened? Then somebody reminds you need to exercise, you need to walk a little bit. So then push us. Then I have to undertake some walking and go around. So thus it goes into minimum. Again I have to bring it out with great difficulty. It will be as difficult or much more difficult than what you all struggle to bring the mind quietness.
I remember you saying that. That's amazing. Okay, Baba, it says here, what use are scriptures and knowledge? So you said earlier that for the self-realized person, the wisdom that you're giving us just comes spontaneously. It's not like book learning. It's not something you've memorized. It just comes to your consciousness.
Yeah. See, just like a lecturer or a professor or anybody who is teaching, they would have prepared themselves by reading books and all such things. I don't read any book. I don't prepare for this session. I don't know what is going to come up as a question or for me to comment. So anything, a slight hint if you give, then spontaneously that comes out. If it comes as a question from you or a suggestion to comment, so that thing spontaneously come out. So till a while ago, I didn't know what I needed to talk and what I was going to talk. Nothing was there. I just sat here.
So thus the scriptures and knowledge are really unnecessary. Those are just things.
Yeah, once you achieve self-realization, so then the ladder job is done. You are on the terrace now. So that's what it is. So like that. But for other people, we would recommend to motivate yourself to feel inspired, you need to read some scriptures which are nearest to the truth. So that's what we always recommend. But for a self-realized soul, there is no need of any other book. Sometimes people give me to read a book and read this, read that one. But there is nothing for me to read anything or gain any such knowledge anymore. The knowledge, our word also has disappeared. What knowledge is there? Just keeping quiet, that is all.
Baba, are there any books that you would recommend that people read for inspiration beside the Ashtavakra Gita?
Yoga Vasistha, Rishabha Gita, Vivek Chudamani of Adi Shankara. So these type of books are very close to the truth. Kathopanishad. So these are very beautiful, very closer to the truth authentically. So and the talks of the, so one can understand when you read the Yoga Vasistha also, you can understand why you need to silence the mind and then you gain the truth. Yamaraja talks to Nachiketa also about the truth of the Atman in Kathopanishad so beautifully.
Okay. Verse 3. The mind now settled in supreme pure self, a pure witness, I see neither bondage nor freedom and have no concern to seek liberation. So, Baba, is this the experience of a self-realized person? They're just a silent witness to everything that's happening?
Yeah, that's how many times in scriptures also talk. A yogi is only a witness. Means, as long as this body is there, whatever is connected to this body, those things are all visible. But mentally, no attachment comes at all. It's a very vague dream type. It's very amazing thing. It's difficult to explain what it is. People should not misunderstand. I have to emphasize that I love you all. Don't worry.
That, Baba, I think many of us that have meditated, we've had some experiences of being that witness, it's supremely peaceful.
Yeah, because mentally, if you don't get involved, you are supremely peaceful.
Easier said than done, Baba.
Yeah, we agree.
Okay, verse 4. With the mind completely settled and not dragged into thoughts, and the body simply acting as required in the world, such a one can appear deluded or confused to others. They can only be understood by one who has also attained that self-realization. So you mentioned earlier that part of the state of being for a self-realized person is the mind doesn't get dragged into thoughts. If something's needed to be done, the thought will arise, and then as soon as it's completed, no extra thoughts. And as soon as it's completed, it goes back to stillness. And but the thing I want to clarify, Baba, that unlike we can get involved in something that we're trying to do and we forget about everything else, the self-realized person, as I understand it, he can get involved in the thought, but he never loses awareness that he's infinite, eternal, unbounded.
It's always there. Just like you might be gossiping with a friend on the smartphone, but you will not forget that you are Agastya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like that. That awareness is always there.
Then the body simply acting as required, you address that also, that as needed activity, thoughts and activities will come up.
Exactly.
All right. In the comments, the very first sentence says, for the self-realized one, the mind will be infinite like space. Can you elaborate on that? I know that space exists within it. It's really more than space, but space is the closest thing we can imagine.
Yeah, you see, as long as thoughts and visions are there in the mind, so the mind's attention goes to those thoughts and visions only. It seldom goes to itself, that which is the infinite form, just like the space. I have also told numerous times example of when you enter a room, your attention seldom goes to the space. It can goes to the pillar, it can go to fan, it can go to people sitting there, all sorts of things. Its attention quickly goes and recognizes, analyzes, judges, but never bothers about the space itself there. And its greatness also is never bothered. It is the space which is holding all the things, finally, ultimate truth. Space is, in that name, we recognize just for sake of understanding our communication. So that is the terminology that was told to us. That's why it is. Space need not be just the space that we are imagining. It can be something else. So thus, a yogi realizes that as the ultimate truth. That which is, you see, everything tells. Like ancient sages have told, it is there and it is not there. And I have told, this room is wide with space, or is this room is filled with space. Somebody might call it, this room is vacuum and this room is full. Depending on the attitude, the thing will appear. So like that. It is there and it is not there. When it is there, how can you deny its existence? The space exists. It is there. But it doesn't appear to be there when you see in the naked eyes. Anybody would tell you, nothing, I cannot see anything here. The anything that you cannot see is the thing that you are seeing, but you refuse to recognize, understand, become aware of it.
Yeah, the concept of space is about as far as the mind can imagine, but then like for me, that space exists within consciousness. So it's put space inside of, it's got an expanded imagination.
When a person was arguing with me about God, if God is all pervaded, why is not visible? I said, who told you it's not visible? You don't know about God. More than trying to look into God all pervaded, try to know who is God, what is God. Then your problem will be solved. If God is all pervaded, anything that is all pervaded must be God. If it is according to logic, you want to go for that one. It is as good as that. That is the truth.
Yeah, Baba, some yogis, that's been kind of a main attribute that they wrote about or talked about, was seeing the divine in everything. Seeing everything as divine, every
So
atom.
that everything, seen everything divine, because matter is there, everybody's attention goes to matter. So then the teacher teaches, see in the matter also God only, see in everything as everything.
You see the illusion is divine.
Illusion also is divine, everything is divine.
In the commentary, it says, when the mind is melted and merged with the self, knowledge is self-experience and not reading scriptures. You talked about the knowledge coming spontaneous, but the knowledge is self-experience.
See, now mind is preoccupied with its imaginations, thoughts and visions. So when we ask you to watch in between eyebrows, precisely we are asking you to practice to keep quiet mentally. Just watch means that's it. You are not watching anything. We are not giving you any target. I have never asked you what is it that you have to watch. Simply I ask you, just watch. but I don't tell you what is it that you have to watch. And there is nothing. Simply the mind has to watch itself. For that, the mind has to become quiet. It has to be withdrawing its attention towards its own imagination. Then, when the imagination disappears, then the attention automatically goes to that infinite purity, which we recognize it as a pure consciousness of existence. From that is where the existence idea is coming, and your mind gets absorbed into that. These things will always happen automatically. Your job is to achieve silence of the mind. The rest, amazing experience, hair-raising experiences, awesome things will come automatically. Your attention goes to that.
So Baba, the mind is actually, it's consciousness, but it's the potential of consciousness to imagine or to create or to manifest. The difference between, consciousness and mind. When the way you use mind, it's that potential, it's that nature or potential of consciousness to express itself in some type of creation or imagination. And when that's there, you call it mind. When it's not there, and there's nothing in it, then you call it consciousness. But that used to drive me crazy when you used to call the same thing. Sorry.
Yes. You see, the ultimate truth can express only by remaining silent in itself. Because that is the truth of existence, and that has to be the expression. Not by any words, not by any language, not by any scene or seer or any such thing, not by creating anything else. No matter, it might create the most beautiful scenario in the entire universe, entire creation, but yet that ultimate truth is beyond that beautiful creation also, actually. So that is how the silence is the only way that it can express. Any other type it tries to express itself, it is limited always.
So science will never really be able to fully prove the self, because the only way to know the self is to become the self, is to stop thinking.
Yeah, they have to realize that all the matter, attention to the matter needs to come to an end. And also they need to realize mind can give only what it imagines. This truth must dawn upon them. They should understand. When it imagines and gives as a definition, it cannot be the truth. It cannot be the complete truth because it has imagined. So that is not the ultimate truth of, we have imagined as apple, no problem. If the entire world recognizes apple as an apple and uses it as an apple, it's no problem. But that cannot be the ultimate truth, because that we have imagined for sake of our own understanding, our own communication only. We have imagined, once we have imagined, that is not the truth. That is the limited one. And imagination is always limited. No matter, it can go Milky Ways and galaxies after galaxies can go after go, but it's always limited. Only the space is unlimited, that which has never been imagined. The space itself also does not imagine anything. That's why it is divine in nature.
So in science, even if you're imagining the finest particle, the finest field, it's still an imagination. and
It's an
not the
imagination.
truth.
So that's why I try to tell through science, we have been able to reach only a nearest cause or an immediate cause, not the root cause. Root cause can never be expressed or defined, impossible.
Okay, I'll read. As long as the mind is bound to this world, desires keep arising, and the mind does not stop, as it's searching for the same peace it had enjoyed by remaining in the self. By becoming totally, absolutely quiet to make it appear as space, but it's supreme consciousness.
Yeah, these are my words. I know. I
Yeah.
keep telling this is the one.
Their external ways are no sure clue to their inner illumination. Now, this is, you're commenting that you can't tell who's an enlightened person by looking at them. Only another enlightened person can tell if a person's enlightened or not.
Buddha at gas pump.
Yeah, yeah.
He might be filling gasoline into your car. He might be a Buddha, who knows? Type something like that. And that you cannot recognize. He might appear as an ordinary person just eating like anybody else.
Well, Baba, that pretty well covers this chapter on tranquility. I realize that tranquility, maybe if you wrote this scripture, that you might have said peace, because tranquility and peace are very similar. You know,
Uh, I'm not sure. It is the language problem. If a certain word, what meaning it can give. For us, like we have had using a tranquilizer, like a tablet, a pill to tranquilize yourself. So, listening to this, I find tranquilizer as a temporary relief, which is not a permanent natural relief that you are giving. Whereas peace is a natural relief to the mind that you are practicing without harming the health of the brain. Naturally, you are withdrawing the mind and making it pure consciousness. Then it gets absorbed into the self. So that is the natural. That is why peace is the recommended thing.
yeah,
That's what my understanding of the language or the terminology of a tranquilizing.
tranquility usually I think of as, kind of calm, peaceful, no motion. And that's what tranquilizers do.
Yeah, but it has to come naturally
Right.
without any artificial or any help of any matters or any tablets or any such things.
Baba, thank you so much for this morning. Okay, so I have been thinking a great deal of everything you have been teaching me, as I try always to do. And in this conversation, there's a couple of things that you said. The mind is preoccupied with its imaginations. So that's one of the two things that I wanted to ask you about. The mind is preoccupied with its imagination. That's, to me, very powerful. So is it that the imprints of the mind, or the imprints within the mind, are really the habits and patterns? Because habits and patterns are very difficult to break. They're we get into a habit, we don't even know we're in a habit, we're in a habit. So are these imprints in the mind the habits and patterns that we have adapted, not only in this life, but through our karmas and also the karmas of our ancestors? Do we also contain that along with our own? Does that question make sense?
No, you see, any karmas are absorbed by yourself with the idea of a doership. that might be coming from previous lives. But others, like a parent or ancestors, need not be the reason. They might appear to be, but if it is our own weakness that we pick up watching anybody, as a child, if we get to see our parents closely more than anybody else, if we are picking up, that means that picking up habit is coming to us from our previous lives.
Oh,
So that's what I try to tell. Every soul is bringing its own acquired habits, which forms the basic nature of a person. Basic nature means here, this point needs to be understood. Somebody trying to brainwash you or teach you, give you anything by their own behavior or such things. More than that, when you pick up such habits based on your understanding ability, your observation abilities. So thus, you are the primary reason to pick up any such karmas. That's what we have to tell. So now, this world exists in front of you. It is there. What you are going to pick up from this world solely depends on your ability.
that makes so much sense because I sometimes wonder. So we only pick up that which is part of ourselves. That's why people in families, some siblings pick up more or different patterns than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have also told example, when parents have 2 or 3 different children, they will try to look after equally to their ability whatever is possible. Yet different children may pick up different attitudes and temperaments. So these things, because they are bringing from previous lives. All children need not be of the same type of abilities and temperaments and attitudes. That's what we call as a basic nature of a person.
So we are really very protected from the world and its influences, and we're only susceptible to what we ourselves have. That makes so much sense. Thank you, Baba. I've been thinking about this a lot and wondering how that dynamic is. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Pranams, Babaji.
Yes.
So I have a question about, so especially for those of us who have grown up in Western culture and our family members may have a totally different understanding or view on spirituality. When somebody important to us inquires about our path and, you know, what the goal may be, how to explain to them what it is we're trying to achieve, because in their mind, sometimes it may sound a little bit nihilistic when we say, you know, ultimately we're trying to stop the thought process and disappear, really, to destroy this. And
you say, you can try to talk based on some important points. Everybody knows they have a mind.
Yeah.
So we are trying to achieve peace in the mind. I am trying to become master of my own mind. Don't want to allow the mind to go like a monkey aimlessly. This is one thing. Also, I want to bother, when this body was born, was I born with this? When this body dies, am I going to become extinct? Or am I going to exist in some other form? So I'm trying to bother about this. This is my path. Like that you can explain. Everybody belonging to all fields, they feel pride. They take pride in their path. You should take pride in your path. This is important.
Absolutely.
Important about our own self.
Yes. So search for the thread that unites all paths.
Wonderful.
Thank you, Babaji.
Definitely. Wonderful.
Yeah, Baba, I was wondering, is our karma given us the ability to understand Is that from our karma, from our prarabdha karma?
Yes, that gives ability to understand.
Okay.
If you clear your mind more from its own thoughts and imaginations, it gains better ability to apply brains and understand also. This is also important to understand.
Pranams Babaji. I have two hopefully quick questions. The first is, I believe you've said in Nirvikalpa Samadhi, you observe, or maybe before, you observe almost the matter disappearing. And please correct me if I'm wrong, but does that mean that the universe or all creation doesn't exist without you to observe it? In other words, like, does it need an observer to exist?
Yeah, and Nirvikalpa Samadhi means just now in your mind, with this potency, you have not created this world. This universe has been created by a higher consciousness. So through tapas, when you reach that consciousness and achieve Nirvikalpa Samadhi, then you experience that disappearance of the entire creation when you become totally quiet and merge with the ultimate truth. That's what I would have tried to tell.
Okay. And then just really quick, the second question is, I just find black holes fascinating, and you've talked about them before. Do you know, I guess, what's on the other side of a black hole? Is it supreme consciousness sort of sucking matter or
See,
dissolving matter?
ultimately, it is the supreme consciousness to which everything will get absorbed.
Hmm.
When we use a word, certain terminologies may give a negative feeling, but a certain terminologies give a natural feeling. Getting absorbed into the ultimate truth is a welcome thing, is a positive thing. But if we talk of a black hole and black hole sucking everything, it appears to be a bit negative, destructive. So, so many times people discuss, if God, why did he create if he wanted to destroy? So it is not destruction, it is withdrawal. Just like you imagine in your mind, when you don't want to imagine, you become quiet. That means you are withdrawing all the imaginations that you have created in your mind. So you are not doing anything wrong to anybody. You are doing a favor to all those imagined substances that are in the mind, which are unnecessarily miserable because of your own imagination.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hi, Babaji, pranams. You have said in the past that purpose is an artificial invention as well that we choose. And so would you please talk about the right way to select and then, cultivate a purpose?
A purpose should be first to know yourself better. Some basic points, if you try to think, as I was trying to tell a while ago to Nick. See, basic thing is a birth and death is inevitable of the physical body. Everybody knows. Then where do I stand? Who am I? You need to bother about this. That should be the purpose, so that there is a chance. Is there a chance at all? Am I going to become extinct when the body dies? Am I going to exist in some other form? What the truth is. Like that, you try to set a highest purpose if you want to achieve anything. If you want to achieve happiness, achieve the supreme permanent happiness, that which will remain 24 hours, 12 months. Like that, you have to set a highest purpose always.
Thank you, Baba.
Alex, please come in.
Yeah, Baba. I want to ask you about the role, the role of enjoyment in the life of a self-realized being. I've read that Swamiji used to enjoy very much to take a bath in a river. So if he was driving, to get somewhere and there was a river by the side of the road, sometimes he would ask the car to stop and he would go in and take a bath. And I've seen videos of him he looks like he's just having such a wonderful time. And then there was Ramakrishna, who would dance around and sing and make fun of his devotees. So it seems like different self-realized beings have a different relationship with enjoyment. Could you talk about this a little bit?
First point, self-realized, they don't indulge any into the worldly activities for their own enjoyment. This is one thing. Number two, like if Swamiji got into water for a bathing, it used to give to happiness to others who were around him. He used to feel that one. This is one thing. And there is another important thing. Sometimes self-realized souls indulge in such things to keep themselves awake in this world, alive in this world, so that they can continue helping to create awareness about the self. Like Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, as you are talking, once he was talking to his students, disciples, and from the kitchen a beautiful smell came of cooking. He suddenly got up and started talking how beautiful smelling this cooking is. He started going towards the kitchen. His wife Sharada Mani Devi was bewildered. She said, what will your students think? Thakur, if you behave like this one just for an eating taste, you are coming out of the room while you are talking to the thing. Then Ramakrishna smilingly said, let me do this. I can keep this body for some more time and I can give my teachings to them, and then this body will come to an end. So like this also, self-realized souls behave for sake of others to create this awareness so that they can continue with the body for some more time. So many different self-realized souls keep different type of activities like that.
Thank you, Baba. Thank you.
Shobha, please come in.
So I do mantra jap. So I don't do it 108 times sitting at one place. So it is like randomly I do. So is sitting at one place to chant, is it better than just doing any times? Is it more effective?
Sitting at one place, you practice so that your mind remains focused onto the mantra jap, and then once you are become expertise, then you can keep moving and also chant. Is no harm in it. Chanting the name of God is better like that also. But first you sit down at one place and practice so that your mind becomes focused onto the mantra is important.
Namaste Babaji. If someone has a negative imprints of somebody, how to get rid of that negative imprints?
Remember God, remember the name of God always, and meditate. Only then your consciousness will become clear of such negative things and you will have the supreme peace. God will help you to overcome these things. Have faith in God and Guru and chant their names. That will help you.
I have recovered so much from my past experiences. I'm better now, but the surroundings and the environment of my its effects. That's why sometimes it's
Very
happening.
good.
Otherwise, I'm stable.
It is very good, and you continue with the name of the Guru and God, and it will definitely help you to overcome completely. You will be all right.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Baba, there's a few questions in the chat. Do we have time?
Okay, we will take as the last thing.
The attributes that mind can experience of space are silence and peace, conceivable by its imagination. So, are peace and silence the only worldly imaginations of space, the self, or are there others that can be experienced dodging the brain like tranquility?
When your mind becomes quiet, you will see that mind as the form like a space, infinite. and then it merges with the supreme space. Just for sake of understanding, I'm telling. So then you experience in Nirvikalpa Samadhi that space as the supreme consciousness of existence, which is beyond all imaginations. It is not an imagined thing, but an experience. Experience is different. Imagining about a thing is totally different.
Okay, Baba, another question. How to know whether thought is arising from intuition or imagination?
Any intuition also is born out of imagination only. When such a thing happens, you try to call it as intuition. If such a thing doesn't happen, you try to call it as imagination. It's a coincidence. Intuition is totally different. When an imagination arises, many people try to claim, so it used to come and the same thing used to happen in my life. They are all coincidences. That is all what in spirituality talks about it. What is needed is that you practice meditation and quieten your mind to know the truth of your own existence is the foremost important thing.
Okay, last question, Baba. Can unhappiness return for enlightened ones? And can enlightened mind be free from states of body like health, illness, pleasure, pain? Can it retain happiness irrespective of the body?
Unhappiness never comes back to an enlightened soul, and his consciousness will always be on the self, because a little bit of consciousness is in touch with the brain to keep the body alive. A yogi also can feel the pain. This is possible, but he will not suffer mentally. Suffering mentally, feeling the pain are two different things. You feel the pain and then you suffer it in the mind is totally different things. So that suffering will not happen for a yogi enlightened soul.
Thank you, Baba. That's it for today.
Yeah, thank you, Agastya.